you also write really wonderful, like the thing about the 7 white guys that made me cry, and so and you have other great stories, and and it just, are you always do you always have thoughts in your head and just already? I mean, I do too, but mine come out a little differently than you. But I do poetry, but and how does that go? And how do you find, okay, you got to be dealing with legal stuff most of the day. How do you, when you need to write or when you need to create, get ready for a show, what is your routine? How do you go about that? And just how does that happen for you?
It can be a hard balance. I mean, what's great when I have court is there's so much open space. Like you're in court and you're waiting for your case to be called, or you're waiting for the jury to make a decision, or you're just waiting. There's a lot of hurry up and wait in the legal field. So when I'm in court, that's a lot of open space to write. But then it's also commuting. I mean, I live in Brooklyn, and right now we're in Manhattan. So on the subway, I'll take out my laptop, or I grew up doing pen and paper, pen and paper, yeah. And then sometimes I've tried different things, waking up super early in the morning, but yeah, I do have all these ideas all the time. I mean, there are so many things, and I'm like, there's so many things I want to write that I haven't written, or I've started writing them and I'm not done writing them. And it's hard because I feel like, and it's funny, I feel like I'll get intuition to write something when I'm in the shower, and I'm like, I don't even have a pen right now. I can't even write this down. It's so frustrating.
I get that, because sometimes you have a whole thing will happen.
Yeah.
Because I'll be walking, someone will be like, I'm like, well, that'll have to be later. Now, really, you could probably pick your phone up and do a memo thing, but I'm not that into, But it is, you can't in the shower pick up your phone and go let me memo and get it all wet now,
Right. Right.
So, okay, so now we know how you do that. You have, over the years, of course, stand before you, put it down for a little bit, came back. What is the I don't want to use the word. What is the relationship? And when you watch stand-ups and people that are comics, you're a fairly upbeat person. Sometimes people have really darker sides, and not a problem. They're just working out their stuff. So their stuff is kind of working it out, and it's great, and it can be funny because people like people to joke about stuff that bothers everybody. But how do you choose what you want to talk about? And when you get in front of the audience, when you said you look divine, sometimes you have a whole set in your head, but when you're up in front of people, you kind of improv into some other morph?
Yes, for sure. Okay. I usually write about the things that are painful. I usually write about the things that are upsetting to me, or that bother me, or that make me angry. One of my newer jokes, in the last year or so, is when the New York Times had put something up there on their, I think it was probably on their podcast, about the wage gap specifically for Black women, and how the more educated Black women are, the wage gap increases. And I was like, what? I was so angry about that you would think the wage gap would decrease when the more educated you are. Money. I was so upset, and I remember just feeling immediately kind of upset, and then I thought, okay, what is funny about this? And so I started writing about it, and I was bouncing ideas off of my boyfriend, who was in the kitchen when it was happening. He was coming in and out of the kitchen as I'm reacting to all of this. And so typically the things I write jokes about are the things that upset me and bother me. One of the jokes I've told for years was about the fact that I go to a law school that's named after a slave owner and a general in the Confederate Army, because it was really uncomfortable and intense the first few weeks I was at the school, because I was like, what am I doing here? Is this okay? And Washington Lee is an incredible law school, so it was fine. And obviously there are no slave owners or whatever that are still there. Right. But it was kind of uncomfortable in the beginning of is this okay that I'm even here? And so I try to think about the things that are bothering me, and then think, how can I make them funny And that's the kind of comedy I like. I love comedy.
Yeah, but it
about
also
dark
wakes
things.
people up about maybe they got to revisit and look at some things that are going on in the world, which you do so nicely. Like, I mean, we're going to show a clip in just a second. When I saw part of the lecture, I call it a lecture, you did on the genetic, listen to me, gynecological testing they did on slaves. But you also did a sort of a serious one, and then you turned part of it into a comic thing. Not that it was so stand-up funny, but it was. But you have to go like, oh, we're laughing at this, but this
Right.
stuff was real and very nasty. But we're gonna, can we get that clip now, Yael? Do we have time? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is from QED. Is that
Yes.
And we have a nice section from this stand-up evening you did, or whenever you did, day, evening.
It was at night at QED in Astoria.
Yeah.
It's a great club. I did a ancestry DNA test recently. Anybody do one of those? No? Yes? Maybe? Well, I found out I'm white. I know you think you see a black woman standing ahead of you, but I'm 3% Irish, people. 3% Irish, and I am feeling that. It's very strange, like 97% black, 3% Irish. I feel like there's a race war going on inside of me. I know what you're thinking. 3% isn't a lot, but think about those plantations. There wasn't a ton of white people in the plantations. It was a ton of black people and a few white people. It doesn't take a ton of white people to take over a place.